Hello, everybody. It's Congressman Jamie Raskin. This is my favorite time of the week, Local Hero, when we get to recognize and celebrate and interact with the people who make life so wonderful in Maryland's beautiful 8th District. Immigration is on the minds of a lot of people and the status of refugees. And our local hero this week is Mark Hetfield, who first joined HIAS, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, which was its original name. In 1989 as a caseworker in Rome, Italy. He's worked for the INS, he's worked for the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, he's worked at a big law firm, he's held numerous different roles within HIAS, and he was named the president and CEO in 2013. First of all, Mark, congratulations on being our local hero. We're really delighted to have you here today.
Thank you, Congressman, and thanks for being our local hero.
Well, you're sweet to say. I should have said today is Friday, January 24th, and we are ending the first week after the inauguration of the new administration. Um, I know that there have been a number of shocking developments within the field of immigration law, perhaps none more crucial to your mission than the complete shutdown of refugee admissions to the country. But before we get into that, I just wanted to ask you to say a few words about HIAS. What is its name now? I know that the acronym didn't change, but the name changed. And tell us about this switch that you've talked about in the thinking of HIAS and your roots in the Jewish community.
Sure. And one of the best things about working for HIAS is that we're over 120 years old, which makes us the oldest refugee organization in the world. And I've been here, as you said, for 35 of those years. And the transformation's just been remarkable. We've gone from being an agency that helped refugees because they were Jewish to an agency that helps refugees because we are Jewish. We're at a place now where there aren't many Jews in captivity. While there's way too much anti-Semitism in the world, there aren't many Jews who are fleeing or who are refugees anymore. So it puts us in a really unique and honorable position to help others that are refugees. And so we've been doing that
Yeah.
for the last 20 years.
So that's a pretty remarkable thing. Rather than HIAS closing up shop, HIAS said, okay, well, if they're not Jewish refugees, we need to help other refugees because of the Jewish mission of HIAS, which a lot of people love and look up to. Of course, that wasn't the case at the Tree of Life Synagogue, where a massacre took place by a vicious anti-Semite who cited specifically HIAS um, in some of his paranoid conspiracy theories about the world. And I wonder about how much more difficult your work has become since then, and how you've had to incorporate security into your work since you were invoked.
Yeah, it's become exponentially more difficult. We've always had security issues overseas, of course, because we operate in dangerous places where refugees live, which are by definition dangerous. But now we've had to worry about our security in this country, especially as the replacement theory, the lie that Jews are replacing white people with brown people and Christians with non-Christians in this country was perpetrated by the Tree of Life shooter, and now has become surprisingly mainstream, though they no longer say it's Jews who are doing it, it's progressives.
I see. Um, all right, look, well, more immediately now, you are focused on what's taking place with immigration policy and specifically refugees. Just, uh, just refresh everybody's recollection first, though, about what is the definition of a refugee? How is a refugee different from just an immigrant?
Sure, a refugee is a person with a well-founded fear of persecution in their home country based on their race, religion, nationality, social group, or political opinion. So, just to shorten that, it's somebody who's fleeing for their life because of who they are or what they believe.
Okay. And so, what has taken place in the first week of the new Trump administration?
An awful lot. I mean, I have to apologize for my voice. What's happened this week has literally made me sick. Um, the refugee resettlement program, which is really the heart and soul of what HIAS does, helping refugees who are living in very dangerous, precarious situations in refugee camps and in urban areas overseas come to the United States through a safe, legal immigration process. And while the focus had been on the border and undocumented immigration, the fact is that literally on day one, President Trump stopped all refugee resettlement. We've had to pull hundreds of refugees off of flights who were supposed to come here in the end of January and through February, as have the other nine refugee resettlement agencies. And again, people who were approved by the U.S. government, vetted, who borrowed the money to get plane tickets. Um, None of them are coming here. There are no exceptions. There's no humanitarian waiver. There's one mentioned in the executive order that requires individual case-by-case sign-off of the Secretary of Homeland Security and the Secretary of State, but no indication as to how that will work. So we have got a lot of very traumatized people now who thought they were coming here, and now they're not. And these are the people that waited in this line that everyone talks about. They followed all the rules, and yet in the end, the door has been slammed in their face.
So we're not talking about anybody who has illegally crashed the country in any way. They've not entered against the laws. They've been following the process, and yet the door was just shut to them. This was not something that was talked about, to my knowledge, during the presidential campaign. That is shutting the door to refugees from political, religious, social oppression in other countries. What do you think the future of this is? How committed do you think the new administration is to shutting off the the refugee applications, the process for people even just petitioning for admission to the country?
Well, in fairness to the president, he did tweet about this in October. He did say that he was going to shut down the refugee resettlement program on day one, and he
Hmm,
did.
I missed that one.
You're right. It wasn't something you heard every day. It wasn't the focus of the campaign at all. It was something he tweeted, to my recollection, once. But he did exactly that. And we don't know. Like it is suspended indefinitely. People have been saying 4 months, but it's really at least 4 months. Because there's a report that's supposed to be written about all the improvements made to this program, which frankly is already very secure and works very well. That report is to be presented after 90 days, but there's nothing even close to a guarantee that it's going to reopen after that. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, the president does have a lot of discretion when it comes to this program.
HIAS has been working with very diverse populations. As you said, it began as an organization focused on supporting Jews who are fleeing persecution from Eastern Europe, um, and Jews fleeing from other parts of the world. There's obviously been a history of oppression and displacement and diaspora, but HIAS has come to serve people from all backgrounds. Christians, Muslims, others who are fleeing. What are the hotspots around the world that are causing people to leave their homes to seek freedom here in America, or at least theoretically in America or in other countries?
Yeah, unfortunately, the world has become one giant hotspot. Like the refugee crisis is truly global right now. When I started in this business 35 years ago, our refugees are mainly coming from the former Soviet Union and Southeast Asia. Now they are coming from every continent. East from Africa, Sudan is a massive refugee crisis. Somalia continues to be unresolved. Eritrea, Iran, Iraq, Syria continues to be unresolved. It's still not safe to go back. Venezuela, massive displacement. Numerous ethnic groups, including the Rohingya in particular, from Burma. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And the problem is that the international community has not been able to find solutions to these displacement crises. So nobody's going home. And every year, the number of displaced persons just gets higher and higher and higher. And now the solutions, especially with the latest actions by the Trump administration and the example that sets for the rest of the world, means that the situation is going to continue to get worse. Oh, I didn't even mention Ukraine or Afghanistan.
Well,
The
I
list
wanted
goes
to
on and
ask
on.
you about what example it sets for the rest of the world. I mean, will other countries say they'll pick up the slack now? Some countries have been absolutely heroic, like Poland, in terms of absorbing Ukrainian refugees from the Russian invasion. And I know some European countries have said, to the extent that America pulls the plug on support for people in Ukraine, they will step up. But are we seeing that happen in terms of refugees, or is it more like the rationality as well? America is locking the doors and battening down the hatches, and we should just do the same thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is the trend. There are not countries do follow America's leadership, and now it's becoming a race to the bottom because this phenomenon of political populism and nationalism, and xenophobia is also a global disease right now. And so the U.S. can lead up or it can lead down, and right now it's leading down.
Huh. All right. Well, um, we're looking for hope in a
Right.
situation that's turning pretty gloomy here. But I got to say that HIAS is a huge beacon of hope for refugees in our country. And I know you have a lot of work to continue to do on existing cases, right, where you're helping people resettle and get accustomed. It's not like you have any shortage of things to do. But tell us about the work you are engaged in, and then how you are thinking about navigating through this very rocky terrain.
Well, I will tell you, what does give me hope, because you're right, this is becoming a depressing conversation. Um, but the fact is that I'm very proud of the way the Jewish community, and I should say Jews all over the United States, have responded, and especially in Montgomery County, right? We have congregations all over the county that we're working with. We have numerous welcome circles that were formed to privately sponsor refugees. Very proud of the highest staff, where we have 9 highest staff members who formed their own private welcome circle to welcome a Syrian family here to Montgomery County. Refugee Shabbat's coming up every year. We celebrate Refugee Shabbat as a way of showing that Jewish congregations believe in welcoming refugees to this country because we were all once refugees. And again, very strong participation across denominations and across Montgomery
What is
County.
the date of Refugee Shabbat?
This year it moves every year, but this year it's February 28th and March 1st.
February 28th in
And
March.
it would be great to see you
I would
in
love to
services.
participate in that. And of course, it is one of the core teachings of Judaism, not to forget that we were once slaves in Egypt, and also to treat the stranger in our midst like the native born.
Right. It's repeated 36 times in the Torah, which is more than any other commandment. And we say it's not so much that it's the most important commandment, but it's the one that is the easiest to forget or to ignore, to otherize the other. And so it's repeated 36 times. And that really is our mission statement, is to make sure we welcome the stranger because we were once strangers.
Yeah. Well, look, I want to thank you, Mark, for your extraordinary commission. I'm sorry, I want to thank you for your extraordinary commitment, and I want to thank HIAS for everything it's been doing for refugees. And I know we will be looking to you more rather than less during this very tough period. So thanks for being our local hero, and please stay close.